What's up guys, Viper FPV, and today we are going to be going over the parts for the budget build that I'm going to be going ahead and featuring on the channel. So I figured we can kind of go and talk about the parts. A lot of people do builds, I've done them in the past too, where I'll just pick some parts and this is what I'm using. So I kind of wanted to explain to you guys why I'm using these parts in this build and why you should be picking these parts if you're looking to do a budget build yourself. Now, the base model build, comes into around $110, $115. I was going to do a $99 build, but I felt like I was really sacrificing quality on the camera and the VTX. So I really recommend, you can definitely build this exactly with the different camera and a VTX and get $99 or a little below. But I feel like the camera and the VTX is probably one of the most important things that you should probably invest your money in when building a quad, because you're seeing through your goggles through that camera, and the VTX, if that is, messed up or it breaks when you're flying it, you could technically lose your quad. So I would definitely suggest the VTX and the camera, not to cheap out on it too much. Get something at least decent, and I'm going to show you guys my examples here. So I have the base build and then I have the pro build. I'm going to be building the pro build on the channel, and we'll talk about those parts as well when we get to it. And so let's go ahead and dive in. We're going to go on to Banggood's website here and show you guys what we're being picking for the budget build. And if you guys have any recommendations, or if you guys have used these parts before, let me know down in the comment section down below. Let me know if you liked them. Let me know if you had any issues. I've used a lot of these parts actually in the past, and I haven't had any issues. So let's get to it. All right, so going right here, this is the base build. A lot of these parts are mostly the same on both, except for a couple of different things. So we have, this is the frame I'm going to be using on both of the builds. This is a Venom 5-inch 235mm wheelbase, pretty much carbon fiber frame. It comes with a sticker here, which I don't really care for, but some people do like that. So if you guys like it, you can put it on it as you build it. What I really like about this frame, it is a clone of a frame, quite frankly. It's using pretty much the Nova frame as a clone of it, but it actually does do really well. It has this right here, this part for the GoPro, so it already has its angle for the GoPro. The only thing you can't do is really adjust it, but you can adjust it if you wedge it with a wedge of a foam wedge or even a TPU mount. So if you're strapped for cash and you have a GoPro and you just kind of like a session, you can just strap it right to the top here and you can go ahead and fly. I don't have to worry about having a 3D printed mount. But I would definitely recommend getting one, which I probably will use one. And then we just have some really nice durable arms here. I think they're like 4mm or 5mm carbon fiber arms. And then it has a lot of room in there as well to go ahead and build. As you can see here, it has a lot of room where you can, if you're a beginner and you want to build your first quad, you have tons of room to put all your components in. So now moving on to the flight controller. This is going to be flight controller we're using in both builds as well. And also the base build, I didn't even tell you, it comes in around $115 for the base build, and then the pro build that I'm going to be building on the channel is going to come in at around $150 to $160 depending on if there's any sales. Now it could be even cheaper what I'm saying, because Banggood does change their prices a lot, so you'll have to check and see what the prices are. But this right here is the Mamba F405 MK2 Betaflight flight controller and 40 amp 3 to 6S D-Shot 600 ESC. So you're getting a D-Shot 600 ESC, you're getting an F4 flight controller, you're getting tons of UARTs, and you're getting an awesome, 3 to 6S ESC. So you technically could build a 6S quad for $150 technically, or even technically. You can't do it on the $120 build. We'll get to that in a second because of the motors. But for the pro build, you can technically get the lower kV versions of the motors and do 6S. So yeah, so this is the flight controller we're using in both builds as well. I've used this one in the past. I haven't had any issues, and Diatone actually uses, I think, this one, a pretty much similar one to this one as well. So Yeah. So now we're going to the motors. So we're using I Love 2207 motors. So that is what we're using. We're going with 2300 kV motors. I would like to go a little higher. I like 2400 kV, and that's pretty much what I'll probably go with. But on these, I probably would go ahead and go with the 2600 kV motors. I have used the Banggood series Wii motors in the past. I know a lot of people had complaints about the bearings going early, or even have a bad bearing when you purchase them. But for $8.89, you can buy 5, honestly, and you still be pretty good if you have a bad motor. I had these on my, I believe I actually did a review on these, and I ran these things into the ground for like 3 months, and they work pretty well, especially if you're just starting out with FPV. They work great. I mean, they're a motor and they just work. Now the QC, like I said before, might be an issue, but if you want to take that chance too, you can always buy a 5th motor so you have an extra one just in case you have a bad one. But I didn't get one when I bought just four. I had not a single bad one, so I guess it's a kind of a luck of a draw. But yeah, these are the motors we're going to be using on the $110, $150 build. That's the base model, base build. And then for the camera, I wanted to spend a little extra on the camera. So if you wanted to go cheaper, you can definitely find like a $5 camera. But this one is a $10 camera, $10 camera. It's an orange 1200 TVL CMOS, 120-degree field of view, 16:9 camera. So I mean, it's nothing really crazy to talk about, but it's a lot better than the camera for $5 because it's like it actually will fit in the frame as well. You don't have to do some magic to make it fit in the frame since it's so tiny, the other one. But that's the camera we're going to be using for the base build. And if I was suggesting a camera, I'd probably either go with this one or go with the one I'm going to recommend in the pro build. Even if you want to mix and match, you can go ahead and go with all these parts and then go with the camera on the other build as well. That's up to you guys. But now going over to the VTX. This is an AKK Race VTX. It goes up to 200 milliwatts, so you can't go crazy far out, but you can get pretty far on 200 milliwatts, surprisingly. And it is 40 channels, so you do have race band channels as well. So if you did want to race it at a race, you have access to that. And what tops it all off is it has smart audio. I can't live without smart audio, so I'm going to recommend, definitely even in my budget base build, to go ahead and go with smart audio. And that's why I went ahead and raised it. I wanted to do a $99 build, but I wanted to go ahead and have smart audio. So I figured spending another I think it was like $5 for a VTX that has smart audio was a no-brainer to me. So this is the one I would definitely minimally recommend getting. So then you can at least change your radio channels, your VTX channels from your OSD, and you don't have to worry about messing with a button on here, trying to figure out or guess what channel you're on, and then you don't have enough range because you're on the wrong channel. So yeah, so this is the one I would at least recommend for this one. And AKK is actually doing pretty well with their VTXs. They've sold quite a few of them. So for a brand, I really can't complain with them. Now for antennas, we're just going to go with these MMCX connector antennas here. These kind of like a ripoff of the Lollipop antennas. I've used Lollipops. I have not used these ones specifically, but for $5 for 2 of them, you really can't complain. So that's the antenna, and if you wanted to go with a different one too, you've seen, you're more than welcome to do that as well. So let's go ahead and go over to the pro build. This is the one I'm actually going to be building on the channel. Find it here. There we go. So again, we have the frame. We already kind of discussed that. We're going to be using the same frame as the base build. Same flight controller as well with the ESC, 401 ESC as well. And then for the motors, we are changing those up. We're going a little more expensive on those, $11.99 each. These Emax Eco motors are fantastic. I mean, I've used them on my race build. I had the 1700 kV versions on one of my 6S builds, and this thing flies great. On that thing does. So I can definitely recommend these on the pro build. And like I said before, if you want to do 6S, this would be the motors, a 1700 kV motors. Just instead of doing 2400 kV, just pick 1700 kV. If you want to do 5S, just pick the 1900 kV. So that'll be up to you guys what you want to do with it. I'm going to be doing this on, I believe, 4S, since I already got the motors. I got the 2400 kV versions. So we're going to be doing this on 4S. So that's the motors. Now for the camera, like I said, we're going to go a little more expensive. So we're going to be spending about $20 on a camera. This is the Foxeer Arrow Mini Pro. I don't have any complaints about this camera. It is definitely a budget type of camera. You can definitely go more expensive, but I don't think you need to go crazy more expensive than this. So this is what the camera I'm going to be using for the build. And yeah, so pick this camera up if you're wanting to go ahead, and you can even use this camera, like I said before, on the base build and spend another 10 bucks more or whatever. And then for the VTX, we're going to be using the Eachine TX1200. This one goes from 25 milliwatts up to 1,000 milliwatts. So yeah, you can definitely get your range on this thing. And it does actually come with an antenna already, but it comes with a linear antenna. So I would probably recommend either going with these antennas here, or you can go with these ones down here as well. That has the SMA. I like these ones, and I also do like these too. It's kind of up to you, but like I said, this one should definitely do good, and it definitely and also goes into your stack. So we should be able to go ahead and mount that really easily in the frame. So, and if we can't have room in our stack, main stack, we can always stack it in the back as well. So definitely recommend this one for the Pro build. And then we have the antennas like we just went over before. So pretty much that is it for the build. Look forward on the channel about 2 weeks or so, maybe a week, depending on when this video comes out, when we should start seeing that build and everything. Just wanted to kind of explain everything, kind of explain why I'm picking these parts, why you should go with maybe a little more expensive camera, a little more expensive VTX, than just basing it off of like a $99 build and just going bare bones cheap, because then you'll be slapping yourself in the face when you're trying to change your channels or when your VTX burns out. And you'll be able to at least see when you're flying around instead of saying, I wish I bought a better camera. But that should do it for this video. If you guys have any comments, leave them down below. I answer anything that you guys have a question about. Do that down in the comments, or email me at viperfpvbusiness@gmail.com. And I'll see you guys in a future video. Peace.